Genetic testing at EVG is quick and easy. Order a test online, send us a sample, and results will follow shortly. You can order a test using an online form. Not sure which test to choose? We have a wide selection of breed-specific test packages. A few days after your order, you'll receive a sampling kit. Taking a sample is the most important part of the test. You can do it all by yourself, in the comfort of your own home. First, label the collection swabs with the animal's name or sample number. Open it without touching the tip. Put the swab between the teeth and cheeks and rub it against the cheek mucosa with gentle rotations for 30 seconds. With your other hand, press against the cheek from the outside to increase the amount of collected cells. Let the swab dry for a few seconds and then put it into the sterile packaging. Repeat the procedure with a second swab on the other cheek. Put both dried swabs and order form into an envelope and send it to us. Within 7 days, the final results will be in your user profile and your inbox. Have questions about the results? Write to us or call us. Our team is friendly and unique, just like your pet. EVG, genetic insight into your pet's life.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Dogs with Ante. As usual, I'm your host, Ante Lucin from Croatia, and sponsors of the evening are EVG Molecular Diagnostics and Tauro ProLine Cosmetics. Before we start, you can see that my guests are already on the screen, fully ready for an entertaining evening. But what you can do from your side is press share under this live video and put the direct link on your wall so more people can find the direct link and join us for tonight, because we have some very interesting subjects. And knowing very well all of my three guests, I'm going to assume that there is not going to be any fake statements here, but full honesty, exactly how it is, without too much backing up, which obviously I like. So I think it's the time to start. Good evening, boys. Welcome to Talking Dogs with Ante. And maybe for one or two persons in the dog world who don't know who you are, can we just start with a few short words about yourself? How did you start? What were your breeds and everything? Because maybe there is somebody young who is watching and doesn't know you. I probably think not, but for any case, let's start with you, Andrew. Tell us a little bit who you are.
Who I am? Right, well, I'm in the UK, obviously. I'm a Welshman and proud of it. My first pedigree dog was a boxer, which I had for passing the 11 plus examination to get into the grammar school. I was 11 years old. That was 1963.
Well, now everybody knows how old you are.
It's never been a secret. It's never been a secret.
That is fine.
Basically that got me all fired up. He never saw the inside of the show ring because he's probably the most famous mono-orchid on the planet, because everyone knows about his one testicle status. I sort of played around with boxers, and then had a number of different breeds, great, like singly, Great Dane, Pointer, and then Pekingese came into my life, I did extremely well with Pekingese, and that was the breed where I got my first champion. Following Pekingese, I fell in love with beagles, having met a beagle bitch who was sired by an American import. And most of the modern dog people will just think I'm a beagle person. whereas probably boxers are still my heart breed. And then I played around with Afghan hounds, importing a bit from Scandinavia, and had quite a significant effect on the breed in the UK. And along the way, I wrote for various publications, sometimes some quite controversial articles.
If only sometimes. and judged few dog shows around.
Oh yeah, and I've judged here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Okay, what about you, Davor?
Okay, good evening, everybody, once again. So we started with American cockers, Afghan hounds. We used to have English cockers, but from the first day until now, we have Old English sheepdogs. So more than 40 years in the Old English sheepdogs, and that's our breed. We've been breeding, showing, judging them, and everything. Yeah. So now I'm also judging now, basically judging all over the world, and still very active in this dog world. Yeah,
wonderful.
That's from basically born in Croatia, and Croatia is my homeland, but I used to live in many different countries, and so I have quite a good overview about situation around the world.
Yeah, yeah. You have not spent too much time at home. This we know. What about you, Gopi? Except of the fact that it's 2 o'clock in the morning now when you are
3 o'clock in the morning. So
3
yes.
o'clock in the morning.
So if anyone sees me doze off, just keep quiet. Hi everyone, Gopi. I'm from Malaysia. I spent most of my early life in the UK, which is where my love for pedigree dogs started. We've always had dogs in the family, but they were never show dogs or anything. And whilst I was meant to be going to at university and in college, I spent most of my time at dog shows, stalking various, famous dog people. And that's where the bug bit. And actually started in German Shepherds, if you can believe that. Then I quickly realized that this body was not made for running. And so I went to the breed that we've always had in the family, which is
You mean the old body, not this one that you have now.
Well, that's true. Yes, that's true. The old body. And yeah, so I started breeding standard smooth Dachshunds, and much later on got into miniature long hairs, and I've had success in both these breeds. And I've also taken up judging, and I'm also an international judge. So that's basically it. But Ante, I like the fact that you've gone in age order and asking us questions. That's a good start.
You wanted to say that. To be a little bit controversial immediately at the beginning. Yeah.
Right from the start.
Anyhow, now I'm going to start the other way around. You are going to be the first one to talk and answer my question, and it's going to be controversial immediately. Listen, Gopi, I know you have been involved partly in the subject. There has been all this FCI talking for about 2 years. 1st of January 2025, no more cropped and dogs being shown on any FCI events anywhere in the world. We are talking obviously about German and Italian breeds, which changed their standard and said that that they must have natural ears and natural tails. That was going on till more or less 1st of January 2025. Then when it came in effect, suddenly Asian section and American section published that in their sections this is going to be for the dogs born after 1st of January 2025. So there was already a lot of controversy about that. Then came the general meeting of the FCI in Helsinki in Finland in August, and then everything was just how to say, overruled. And somehow we are now at the beginning of whatever it is, going back to this thing or this rule from 2016 or whatever, where it says that if in the country of where the dog show is, if it's allowed to have cropped and dogs can be dogged and cropped, doesn't matter which breed they are. Tell me, Gopi, how this drama and when this drama is going to be resolved?
When it's going to be resolved is $1 million question, but let me just get back into a little bit of the history of this, or going back a little bit. So yes, from 1st January 2025, these 11 breeds, specifically these 11 breeds, German and Italian breeds, only dogs born after 1st January, sorry, any dogs born after 1st January were not allowed to be shown docked and cropped. Even in the countries.
That we need to say that was only for 2 sections. That was not valid for the European section. For the European section, it was completely blocked, no matter whatever.
But the rule never specified sections. It was across the FCI, because the FCI, although in 3 sections, but it applies to all. And after 1st January 2025, they could not be shown at section shows or world dog shows. So even if the section show or the world dog show was held in a country where it was legal to be docked and cropped, the FCI was not going to allow that. So it was not allowed. Then there was a proposal for Macedonia in the General Assembly to bring up this issue and to vote on it at the General Assembly, because any decision made at the General Assembly by the majority of countries would then have to hold. So it could not be a board decision. It then came to the General Assembly to decide. So this topic was actually on the agenda proposed by Macedonia to discuss this. And I just want to go back. I mean, I don't own a Dr. Crop breed, so it doesn't affect me personally, but it does affect us as Asia, as a section in South America, for 2 simple reasons. And these are my personal reasons. I want to state very clearly, it's not a position of the FCI or anything or my kennel club. It's my personal view, is that when we have the right to do it and you tell us we can't, then it basically takes away rights that we were allowed to have. So we are pandering to the animal liberation people and all these other people who say, oh, it's wrong, it's cruel, it's mutilation. They use all these dramatic words, okay, for practices that have been happening for centuries. So that's the first thing, is that you've taken away our right to do it where it's legal, where it's still legal to be done by a veterinarian. Secondly, in Malaysia particularly, what happened is that a lot of breeders of, especially Dobermans, because this is the breed that's popular, people stopped breeding or they left the breed because they didn't want to. That was the first issue. The second issue was, because it's still legal, the puppy farmers continue to dock and crop, because the majority of people buying a Doberman want it as a guard dog. They're not show people, they're not working people, they want it as a guard dog. And when a Doberman starts to look like a coonhound, because it's no longer docked and cropped, it does not look menacing or it does not look like a guard dog. So, but because puppy farmers can still dock and crop, their sales went up, and you started getting dogs that were untested, unhealthy, classed as pedigree dogs, without pedigrees, not registered, still being sold. And that's the main issue, because then when there's a problem, when there's a dog bite, when a Doberman, so-called Doberman, bred by a puppy farmer with no interest in temperament or health, attacks someone or has an issue, they blame all pedigree dogs. So that was one of my personal reasons for backing this, was because it was fundamentally dangerous, and because it allowed these people free reign at doing this. So now, as to when it's going to be resolved, there was a panel put together of I don't know how many people, but it involved all the section presidents. It involved a few other board of directors of the FCI. It involved the presidents of NCHI and the VDH, and they were going to have a meeting, and they've had a meeting. I don't know what the results. Nothing has been published, and they were going to find a way to resolve this. What they eventually come up with, we don't know, but they have promised to look into solutions that are workable for every section, rather than a blanket rule across all the FCI sections, but to find rules that work within our sections.
Yeah.
So we're still waiting.
Yeah, Davor, I mean, it represented in a way a little problem also for us in the beginning, because these 2 sections, for example, issued this statement that for them, you know, it's going to be just for the dogs born after 1st of January 2025, which would mean, generally speaking, when we went to Mexico this year, you and me, and we judged these many German and Italian breeds, which were complete, all of them cropped and dogs, we would not actually probably be allowed to do that if the old rule was still on. Do you have any idea how this will be resolved and what can be done? I mean, for Europe, it's maybe not a huge deal. There are maybe 3 or 4, maximum 5 countries in Europe where this is still allowed legally to crop and dock, and maybe to show them cropped and docked. But there needs to be a solution also for the judges. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, I think that. So let's go back to the beginning of the year. That was unpleasant situation for the breeders, for the owners, for the show people, for the organizers, and that was a very big problem for judges. Yeah, because it's easy when you are judging. I don't know, inside Europe, and there is a docking ban. It's a clear situation. Yeah, but when you go to out of Europe, when you go to Latin America, South America, or Asia, then what can you do? Not able to be judged, disqualified, everything, because everybody is docked and cropped. Yeah. So I think that we have to accept reality, and reality is that in the majority of the countries, cropping and docking is allowed. Yeah. So I understand the position from the German Kennel Club and from Italian Kennel Club and from their people, breeders, whatever. But reality is that those breeds are very popular. They are very popular out of the Europe, and we have to accept the reality. So now we are in some transition period where we have a committee who will do the work and make some decisions. But I think, again, what would be the decision? I think that we will have we will have sooner or later some amendment in the standards. Yeah, when we will have where is legal, where is not legal. Yeah, where is legal, I think we will continue to crop and dock and to show cropped and docked breeds. Yeah. They are simply too popular, and I don't think that any kennel club will be ready to get rid of so many exhibitors, breeders, dogs, and everything. That's not that's not realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew, I want to ask you one thing, something more or less connected to what Davor just said. I mean, I spoke with the president of the German Kennel Club. I said to the I spoke to the president of NGO, well, not directly with him, but I know people around him, how he thinks and what he thinks. They say never, ever, ever it's going to be put in the standards of these breeds. If it's legal, it's like this. If it's cropped and docked, it should be like this. They want to have the standards in which says only and exclusively natural tail and ears, because they think otherwise they will have problems with their governments, animal welfare, and so on and so on. How do you think this can be solved, and do you think this will ever be solved? And I mean, in the UK, you can't crop and dock for such a long time. Did you lose a lot of breeders in these breeds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, Schnauzers, when the banning started?
Well, I mean, I obviously I can't remember when it was legal to crop ears, because that is going back generations. But I mean, I was around obviously when the docking ban came in, and a lot of breeders in Dobermans, Boxers, Rottweilers said that they would go out of the breed. The reality was that very few of them did. Boxers in particular. I mean, I don't think we lost any of the major players. I mean, we were all sort of horrified when the docking ban came in, because apart from anything else, I mean, I've never condoned ear cropping because I think it's barbaric. I have no problem with tails being docked when puppies are a matter of days old, particularly as most of the people who I know did it. It was banded, and I mean, all it caused as far as the puppy was concerned was a little squeak for 2 seconds, and then they just minded their own business, and eventually the tails dropped off. But I think we were so used to seeing docked tails in certain breeds. And let's be honest, from a judging perspective, in breeds like Boxers and Dobermans in particular, the docked tail was a contributing factor to the overall sharpness of the look of the breed. I mean, Gopi's reference to Dobermans turning into coonhounds, I'm sure, was slightly tongue in cheek. But you certainly do get a softening of these guarding breeds, you know, when you make them more natural. Scandinavia certainly lost a lot of dedicated breeders in those breeds because a lot of the old breeders said, no, we don't want them. We don't want them with tails. And they did drop out. And it was very interesting. And at that time, I was traveling a lot more than I have done recently. And it was noticeable in some of those breeds that the quality just plummeted with the withdrawal of some of those very successful old breeders. Gopi's got his hand up.
Yeah.
And I finished. Sorry, I was
Finish.
Finish, Andrew. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was asking.
No, you finish, and then I will call his name. Don't worry.
So as I said, I mean, it doesn't really make any difference to us here in the UK, and I mean, people very, very quickly adjusted their eye. And I mean, now, it's interestingly, sometimes when you go overseas and you have a dog in the traditionally docked breed, people come back and say, well, and you're raving about something you put up, well, did it have a tail? And you find it hard to remember whether it had a tail or not, because the tail is not the overriding issue. You're looking at the overall picture, and in a lot of these breeds, I mean, the tail is not a major derogatory.
Yeah.
You just get used to it. And I mean, I totally take on board about we should not go down the road of pandering to the animal rights people. But having said that, nobody can argue with the fact that a dog left with its ears and left with its tail as nature intended. We can't argue with that.
Yeah. Gopi, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Andrew just quickly about when you judge them, you get used to them. I mean, I used to seeing docked and cropped throughout Asia, South America. But, when you judge in Europe and you have traditionally docked and cropped breeds, you just get your eye gets used to seeing them as, as they were, I suppose. The only point I wanted to make, Ante, was that I think the difficulty that the VDH and NCHI will have is that legally they're not allowed to give any options in the breed standard, because they will get in legal trouble with their governments where it is actually banned. So that's where they have to find a solution that works around this, because they cannot put those options in where it's tail optional, ears, natural ears, natural tail.
Yeah. I think my position of this is quite clear. I have never gone around this subject, and I always say what I think, which makes my uncle, Mr. Brace, very proud sometimes. If I could crop and dock my dogs, I would do that even today. I would do that till the rest of my life. Looking from the perspective of something that you, Gopi, mentioned, and this is illegal or backyard breeders, or however you want to call them. When this thing came in power, I spoke with a lot of breeders in Serbia. Dobermans, particularly, are extremely popular breed there, and Cane Corsons are extremely popular breed there. They said we will never ever stop cropping and docking them. People want to buy them only cropped and docked, which means that we are still going to breed them, we are still going to crop and dock them, we are still going to sell them, just these dogs will not go to the dog shows, which means we are going all to lose in one way. Another thing which I want to say, two particular reasons for my point of view with cropping and docking. First of all, I think that when we allowed the animal activists at some point to push us to say we will stop cropping and docking because we are horrible people who did this for so many years, and we were torturing our own dogs just for them to be beautiful and so on. That was the first mistake that we have all done, because that's not particularly just as easy as they say. We can see how the American Kennel Club has dealt with that issue and has dealt very well, and all the dogs still can be cropped and docked. Second thing, I don't think, and that's maybe my first and biggest reason why I would still crop and dock if I was allowed, we didn't make any favor to the dogs. With the miniature schnauzers, for example, which are my breed, they are being born with all kind of tails. Unfortunately, because they have been cropped and docked for so long time that you have no idea which lines are bringing what kind of tails and ears, which means that you need to take these tails, for quite a long time to try to get them as best as possible, and that's sometimes not easy. And that's 2 months or 3 months of puppy having a tail like this just to carry it a little bit better, which would be much easier, as Andrew said, to dock when he's 2 days old, and never problems with this. With the cropped ears, when I had dogs with the cropped ears, I had never ever had any problems with infections, never problems with anything. Nowadays, first of all, when they're puppies, when they're 5, 6, 7 weeks old, and especially when they start to change teeth, you need to glue their ears, because the ears can go up and like this and like that. So it's the easiest way is to glue them to be sure that they will be perfect. Then these puppies need to have these glued ears for 2, 3 weeks. It's scratching them, the infections come, and all the things and everything. So I think that with this, we didn't do also any favor to our dogs. And closing the subject, if I could crop and dock my miniature schnauzers, I would do it without thinking one single second. But I got used to it. I breed them. I love them with the natural tails and ears. I have no problems with that. But I just think maybe this could have been, done in a little different way. Anyhow, let's go to the next subject. Here I will start with you, Davor. I judged 2 weeks ago in Romania, and I loved the fact that I could give best of breed to the dogs at the national show, to the dogs from the puppy class, 6 to 9 months old. But we judged together in Mexico, I already mentioned, and that was 4 international shows. And also there, we were allowed to give best of breed to the puppies due to the system which they have. Should the FCI think about changing this rule? How does it work now? Because obviously it is possible at some international SASIP shows to do it. How does it work? What can it be done? Do you like to have the possibility to give to the dog from 6 to 9 months best of breed or not?
I can make it long or short, but
However
short,
you like.
but
However
short,
you like.
absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. I mean, nice dog, nice puppy is a nice puppy. If the puppy is the best one, I don't have any problems to give the puppy best of breed. And you mentioned this Mexico. So, you judged many dogs, hundreds of dogs, or let's say thousands of dogs. You don't remember all of them. You remember just few good dogs and few bad dogs. Yeah, the 90% of the dogs, you can't simply, it's impossible to remember everything. From the Mexico, where we were a few weeks ago, let's say in the top 3, 4, 5 dogs that I have seen there, yeah, absolutely was one of the best was puppy Chihuahua.
Yeah.
This puppy was simply beautiful, and it's really no reason not to give this dog best of breed. And there are many examples in other countries, other breeds. So for me, I believe and I hope that the rule will be changed, and puppies from 6 to 9 will be eligible for best of breed competition and on.
Yeah. Andrew, this is not a big thing for the UK. I think you can already give CC from what age it can be?
From 6 months.
From
And
6 months.
I think it's absolutely right. I think if you're taking an entry 3 from an exhibitor and entering in a regular class, that dog is eligible for all the awards that are available. And I mean, as someone who is, I've got a bit of a reputation for putting up puppies, well, I think they're good enough. I think it's ridiculous that when you've got an outstanding, and I mean, Davor just mentioned this Chihuahua, you do occasionally come across puppies that are absolutely outstanding and far superior to the competition in the breed. And it's ridiculous, in my opinion, to have to give certificates to something that is not as good as what is technically the best dog in the breed, simply because the rules and regulations say it's not old enough. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, if they can come to a championship show at 6 months of age, they should be eligible to win what is up for grabs. And
Yeah.
I mean, only at the weekend now, I mean, we had these three championship shows for what they called the Bull Mastiff World Cup, and I did the third show, which was a wonderful show. And all right, she didn't get the CC, but I mean, my best puppy in show was at the beautiful fawn bitch, who won the reserve CC. And had the ticket winner not been there, I would have happily given her the CC, because I just thought she was exceptional.
Yeah. Gopi, how does it work in Asia? Because as I said, in Romania, they have a kennel club rule that at the national show you can do it. Obviously, at the international show you can't do it. But as I said, in Mexico, we did 4 Katzib international shows and we were allowed to do it. How does it work in Asia?
It depends on country to country. Some strictly follow what the FCI dictates in terms of, you know, for Kassib shows. Other countries, they allow, in Malaysia, we allow puppies to win best of breed. And it's simple, Ante.
At the Katzib International show, you can allow puppy, you can give
as long
puppy best of breed.
as long as it's not a section show. So when we did, you know, going back in September, because it's a section show, we had to follow the rules very, very strictly. But otherwise, the FCI is only concerned about who you award the Kassib to. So the junior Kassib, the veteran Kassib has to be awarded to dogs from the correct class. But as far as best of breed, best opposite sex, all those things, they allow us to have a bit of leeway with that. So in Malaysia, we allow a puppy to win best of breed simply because we have a smaller number of dogs. And at the end of the day, we want, as Andrew mentioned, the judge to have a lineup of the best dogs available there, rather than what's becomes optional or automatic. For the same reason, we do best of breed and reserve best of breed, because this best opposite sex, I think, is just a booby prize to whoever the best bitch was, rather than the second best dog in the breed. So I know when people watch the live stream of our show, they were wondering why for best in show, after awarding best in show 1, the reserve group winner came in. And that's again for the same system, because we want the judges to be able to pick the best dogs, because some groups, say group 5, group 9, the quality is very high. And so the judge may give best in show 1, best in show 3, or best in show 1. So we allow it. But I have, when I'm judging, I personally have no issues giving a puppy. People carry on, oh, but you don't know how it's going to turn up. It's not 12 months. But we judge dogs on the day in the ring. We can't start looking what they're going to look like. So on the day, if I feel it's the best thing, I have no issues giving a puppy the breed.
Yeah. Andrew, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I did. In the interests of clarity, could you ask Gopi to explain, because there will be a lot of people watching.
You can ask him by yourself. It's okay.
I can speak to
You can talk to me. You can talk to me.
Assuming we do actually have some viewers, could you explain to people what exactly is meant by, because it's a term you use routinely without any explanation, a section show?
A section show is the equivalent of a world dog show in the particular section of the FCI. So every year there will be 3 section shows, one in the America section, one in the European section, and one in the Asian section. And these are basically, for want of a better description, a mini world dog show. So it's like the top show in the section for the year.
It is what we have in Europe, like a European dog show. So every section has its own European dog show.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is the show for the year. You know, with particular titles available. The section Asian winner, whatever, all those particular titles, like the world winner, which is given at a world dog show. These are given at the sections.
Yeah.
So yes.
I'm curious just about one thing that you said, Gopi, and I mean that's very correct what you said. The FCI in its rules and regulations says Katzib can be given to these and these dogs, junior Katzib can be given to these and these dogs, veteran Katzib can be given to these and these dogs, but it doesn't say nowhere how you do the best of breed. And what is there is no FCI rule about giving best of breed. So, for example, if Romanian Kennel Club, who already made this decision for the national show, would say in Romania the puppies can compete also at the Katzim shows for best of breed. Obviously, they cannot get junior Katzim, they cannot get Zatzim or anything, but they can compete for the best of breed. That would not be an issue for the FCI. Did I understand well?
This is where I might be crucified, because I might, we might just be doing it, not following the rules. I know for the section shows and the world dog shows that these rules have to apply, where it has to be best of breed and best opposite sex, for example, and where a puppy is not eligible for the breed. But I think with other shows, other international shows, there's a bit of wiggle room as to what you want to do. With even for example, of how many placings you give in group, how many placings you give in best in show. That's not mandated. There's no rules about how many you have to have. It just clearly on more specifically on kasibs and the age categories and the classes that have to be complied with for a dog to be awarded a kasib. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew, let's start with you now with the next question. You follow all these comments and things and everything that is happening every time there is a list of judges for a new World Dog show or the section show, as Gopi just explained what are the FCA shows, and then people start to write, we are fed up of all the time, same people judging all the time, same breeds, same groups, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Is this system of inviting judges for these big shows really so bad? Is it really, happening that there are only, some people going around all the time and some others have no chance for do that? How does it work, for example, in your country with crafts, for example? What is your point of view? I mean, do people really have a reason to complain about this so often?
Dog people will always have a reason to complain.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if they would have a reason, but they always complain. That's true.
Yeah, right. I mean, as far as the FCI European and world shows are concerned, if I understand things correctly, invariably when they have these big shows, the equivalent to Gopi section shows, they also have their summit meetings or whatever they're called. So immediately they are landed with, I don't know what the number is, Gopi will tell you, a large number of multi-breed judges in situ. These big shows obviously have to run on a budget. So if I'm making an assumption here, I assume when they're drawing up the judging panel, they say, right, well, we've got these 30 or 40 or whatever. So let's start, slotting them into the various gaps and then, sort of filling in what's left. I mean, I can see both sides of it. I know these shows have to be run, efficiently as far as finance is concerned. But I do sympathize with the exhibitors when they see the same names coming around time and time again. And let's not beat about the bush. I've seen situations at world shows where breeds have been given to quote unquote all-rounders who come from a country where that breed doesn't even exist. And I think perhaps a little more thought could go into judging panels.
Yeah.
One of the things that is constantly thrown up every time a new judging list appears is, why don't we have more breed specialist judges? Well, of course, in the perfect world, there would be a lot more specialists on the panel. And let's not kid ourselves that every breed specialist judge is a rocket scientist and a genius, because they're not. There are good and bad in both categories. But I do think that a little more thought could be put into these judging panels, even if it's only that, they make a concerted effort to say that, well, a certain percentage of the breeds we will, because let's be honest, I mean, if you're bringing in a breed specialist to do just one breed, it's an expensive exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, much more attractive to the show arrangers is somebody that they can flog to death for 4 days. But, the exhibitors' wishes should be taken into account. And as I said, I think it would be an excellent idea if there was some kind of guideline that says, okay, at European and world shows, pluck a figure out of the air. 10%, say, which is not a huge number, of breeds should be given a breed specialist judge.
Yeah. Tell me, would crafts benefit of having a little bit more of foreign judges or not?
My God, I think we're drowning with foreign judges at the moment. I've never seen so many foreign judges on the
How many? 10?
on the crafts. I know. I think you'll find it a lot more than 10. No, I
Okay.
mean the crafts panel has certainly opened up a lot as far as overseas judges are concerned. I mean, years ago, you would very seldom see foreign judges. There was the odd one that slipped through the net, like David Roche and whatever, but Canadian Bill Taylor. But no, more recently, you've seen a lot of foreign
Yeah,
judges.
no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Davor, as a judge, as an exhibitor, how do you look at these European dog shows and world dog shows panels? Do you have the same feeling that it's always the same people going around, or you have different opinion?
Okay, I'll tell you. That's a very big topic, huge topic, and it's a complex topic. Yeah. First, you must understand. So everybody must understand how one country gets a world show or a European show or a section show. Yeah, they get it by voting. Yeah. So what I do, you do lobbying. You talk to people, blah blah blah. Vote. Let's say, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. Yeah. Okay. Then finally, the country gets, let's say, world show or section show. Yeah. And then it started to create a judging panel. Yeah. In majority of the cases, how it works. First, you have to say thank you, or you don't have, but what they are doing, they are telling thank you to the voters. Yeah. And that's not 1, 2, 3, 5. That's 40, 50. Or even more. Yeah. Then you have to invite by the book, by the rule, by I don't know why, but it is you have to invite, or they are inviting politicians. Yeah. So when you have voters, when you have politicians, when you have local judges from local kennel club organizing the show, again they have some local stars, local politicians, local power people. That's another percentage of the judges. And at the end, those three categories, it creates 95% of the judges. Yeah. And then you have 5, 6, 7, or 10 empty spaces to invite, let's say, independent or however you call it, specialist. Yeah. And I deeply believe this is wrong. We are just recycling and recycling judges, judge, same breeds. We have even the cases when we have the judge judging, I don't know, 2 European shows or world show and European shows, the same group in 2 consecutive years, not the breed, groups. Yeah. So this is really, that has to be changed. And another thing about expenses. Yes, it is expensive to invite specialists for one show. Yeah. But it's not ordinary show. It's a big show. It's the most important, most prestigious show. And the entry fees, I don't know about Asia and South America. It's lower, I guess. But in Europe, European show and the world show, the entry fees is crazy expensive. It is
we will talk about
dog,
that. Yeah.
I don't know, 100, 120 euros. That is like $150. I think nobody can understand from States or from even from UK. Nobody can understand why this is so expensive. So for that money, for people going to the world show, European show, section show, they are traveling from everywhere. They are investing a lot of money, time, everything. Yeah, you can give them a really breed specialist. Yeah? Yeah. I really think that has to be fixed. It's not easy task, but it has to be done really properly, because this system of recycling again, not good.
Okay, Gopi, I'm not sure if I spoke with you, but I certainly spoke with few people from your section, and I spoke with few people from the America section, who were saying, because we are, let's say, so far away, and our tickets are, let's say, expensive, you have, for example, World Dog shows where you can have easily, let's say, 15, 20 UK judges, which are not FCI judges, but you have maybe 2 from Asia section and maybe 2 from America section. Is that something also that should be a little bit changed in a way? I'm not saying that we should have less UK judges, because the thing is that when most of the UK judges come to judge, they are really coming to judge the breeds where they are specialists. So that's a good thing. But sometimes when these section shows, world shows are in Europe, they don't invite so many people from other FCI sections.
No, I guess it's one of my bugbears, but please, I don't want people to misunderstand this as me wanting an invitation. But it's true. We do feel. I don't think it's a distance factor. It is a little bit sometimes a feeling like the the ugly sister or something. That where there is no proper representation, not numerically, of all the sections. And yes, you do get a lot more UK judges, and I understand why, because they want to get entries and they're seen as specialists in particular breeds, so they invite them. But then you also get, this year we had so many American judges, and again, they're numerically much more than judges that came from the 2 FCI sections. But we were told that it was the clubs that voted for it, so who knows? But anyway, that's been always something that I've always pushed for, is that better representation. If we are the FCI and we're representing 100 countries, then when you have a World Dog Show, you should have a better representation. Some countries have managed to do it. Switzerland was one of the best. Brazil was amazing. They also had almost from every section and good numbers across all the sections. And Croatia did it. Look, Croatia, when they had the World Dog Show, they had a good number of judges from all the sections. And to me, if you're talking about being unified, staying together, all that stuff, this should be the start. It should be about getting everyone properly represented. If you look at European dog shows in the last 5 years, if you look at the records and look back, you will see how many non-European judges are there on the panels. Yeah. But when we have section shows in Asia and South America, we tend to invite more Europeans than people from our own section sometimes, which I think is flawed, but never mind. We don't live in a perfect world. So,
okay, no, but I think it's interesting, to mention all these things.
I just want to say one last thing. With regards to getting specialists, I mean, Crufts has always been seen as a specialist show. And so you do get breed judges doing the breed. Yes, they get recycled. This problem of recycle, it's not just in the FCI. It happens in the AKC. It happens in big shows there. It happens everywhere. Perhaps my one suggestion to those organizing a World Dog Show is to look at the large breeds, the biggest breed entries, and at least for those biggest breed entries to have specialist judges in breeds like French Bulldogs or Bulldogs or whatever the very popular breeds, to then maybe for those breeds, because otherwise it is a cost factor. It's difficult to invite one person to do one breed, and then you still have to pay the airfare, the hotel, all that, and then they just do one breed and they're gone. But perhaps in the numerically larger breeds with entry fees of like 100 euros, 120 euros, maybe they can justify having breed specialists. So that would be maybe something to look into if I was, organizing.
I want to ask you, Andrew, one thing, and we spoke a little bit about that, you and me, just recently, a mutual, I think, we are quite open. We can always talk about names. I have no problems with that. And anyhow, that's not been a secret. We have all seen how did it work. One of the most famous and biggest names from the UK, Frank Kane, has been twice denied to judge the groups at the European Dog Show and the World Dog Show. I think he was supposed to do the Group 8 at the European Show in Slovenia and at the World Show in Helsinki. Both times he was removed because the FCI doesn't allow UK judges to judge the groups at the section shows. But in the same way, for example, an FCI judge can come and judge group or best in show at Crufts without any problems. We have seen Hans van den Berg, Espen Henning is doing best in show, Tamas is doing best in show. So where is there, what is happening there? Do you know maybe what, is that something that should be discussed?
We're not members of FCI. FCI make up their own rules. Those are their rules. Quite frankly, when I'd heard that Frank, who had been invited to judge one of the gun dog groups at the World Show. Was it the World Show?
Yeah.
First at the European Show in Slovenia, and then at the World Show in Helsinki.
He'd had the invitations in writing. And Frank is, I think everybody would agree, internationally accepted as being one of the greatest gun dog authorities of our time. And to have been invited and then have the invitation withdrawn, in the first place.
The invitation was not withdrawn, just the group judging.
Well, no, I'm talking about the invitation to judge the group. That was withdrawn. He was advised that he was not eligible to judge the group. I think, first of all, he should never have been invited if that rule was in place. But having had invited, I think they should have honoured it, because I thought it was a great insult to him, and the height of rudeness. Even if they did want to stick within their rules, somebody slipped up by issuing the invitation, if that's how the rule was in place. But as I said, it was a real slap in the face, to say that, you know, he wasn't. They didn't say he was incapable of doing it, because nothing.
No, absolutely.
The truth. But the system didn't allow it. To me, it's an absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Frank is, as I said, one of the greatest gun dog authorities we've ever had.
Yeah. Gopi, is that something that should be maybe discussed in one of the FCI committees, and maybe there should be another rule about that? Because, to be honest, when we speak about that now, I remember also, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was the World Show or the European Show in Hungary. It happened the same with Frank Sabella. He was announced as the judge for the Group 9, and then he was removed because he was not an FCI judge.
That's correct. And again, equally insane. I mean, Frank was a genius.
Yeah.
I think it's with regards to reciprocal agreements between the kennel clubs. With the FCI as a one body, with the kennel club, and then with the AKC, they each have their own agreements. I don't know. I guess it would be the FCI that would have to look into it. But yeah, I mean, in this day and age, maybe it's time to relook at things, and to be a bit fairer. But you know, they must have good reasons why they said they can't. Because I think it's to do. I think it's to do with the fact that if you can't award cusps in all the breeds, then and you're judging the group, then it becomes a bit complicated of how you would. I mean, let's put Frank aside. We know Frank's knowledge on gun dog breeds, but I think it's to do with the fact that if you can't award cusps in all the breeds, so you're not licensed for the group.
Yeah, I mean, and there are some breeds in the FCI which exist in the FCI, but for example, they don't exist in the USA, and they don't. Well, not they exist, but they're not allowed to be shown in the UK and in this. So probably it has to do with this. I would be sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Davor, what is your short position on this?
Yeah, we have three big organizations. Yeah? We have FCI, we have AKC, we have Kennel Club. Okay, we have Canadian Kennel Club, Australian, but let's say we have three big organizations, and they are different. Two are national clubs, FCI is international. Yeah, and we have these agreements about the judge and everything. Yeah? I think that I was not even aware about that. Let's say Frank Kane, but name is really not important here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was not aware about this rule. Yeah, for me, if there is a UK judge or American judge that fulfills the requirements to judge a group, yeah, I don't see the reason why not. Yeah, and then it's a very complex question. One thing is to be able to judge 1 breed, 10 breeds, 50 breeds in UK, and it is completely different thing to judge to be allowed or to get the permission to pass the exam for 50 breeds in some of the European, Asian, or South American countries. That's a total different situation. It's a different sport. Yeah. Because it's totally different. Because in some, or let's say in Scandinavian systems, it's not easy to become a judge even for one single breed. Yeah. Even in some countries, it's really like you have kids, 20 years old kids judging group 2 or group 9, which is crazy, totally crazy. It's not good for them, even not good for them. Yeah. So it's really complex question. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
again, if one Englishman or American or Canadian fulfills requirements, I don't see the reason why they cannot judge breed, group, best in show, whatever they want. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There were a few questions that Gopi sent me that he thinks it will be good to discuss them. One of them, and I'm going to read it exactly how he said, because I think it's an incredibly interesting subject, is why are the exhibitors losing their trust in judges? And when I ask this question, I'm going to ask you openly. When we talk about judges and judging, is there really happening a lot of politics, a lot of corruption? Call it however you want. Does this really exist, or this is just a talk from the people who didn't win? Is that one of the reasons why exhibitors are losing their trust in judges, or where is the the epicenter of this problem? Let's start with you, Gopi.
Exhibitors, I think, okay, I'm not saying that there doesn't exist corruption and there doesn't exist bad judging or judging with by people without enough knowledge who just put up the fastest moving dog, the flashiest moving dog, that sort of thing. I'm not denying that that goes on. I mean, I see it sometimes when I'm judging on panels, and I wonder, why particular dogs win. But in the same breath, I think what you did say also, Ante, that it's to do with sore losers, because we've talked about, and people complain about, oh, the recycled judges at World Dog Shows. If that's really the case, how come the numbers at World Dog Shows continue to go up every year? If people were so turned off by this recycled judges, why are they still entering the shows?
That's a very good question.
in the same vein, if you felt all these judges were terrible, and yes, some people have left the sport because of the sort of poor judging that goes on. But if this was such an endemic problem or epidemic problem, I should say, then why are numbers still holding up? Why do people still come for the shows? And why do they give entries to these judges in particular? Let's be more specific. Why do they continue to give entries to judges who qualified, out of a cornflakes packet, who become all-rounders in 5 minutes? Why do they still continue to do that? Is it because it's a lottery and maybe they have a better chance of winning? So is it about winning, or is it about improving their breeding stock and getting an opinion of someone who has knowledge to help them go ahead with their breeding program? I think also, I see Andrew wants to say something. I think also, Ante, times have changed. Numbers are going down, not just because of bad judging, but people are, especially after COVID, a lot has changed and people have new priorities. And to some people, especially, and I keep saying this, I'm sorry to those who know me and have heard this, we are losing breeders, but we're getting a lot of exhibitors, people who want to win rosettes and ribbons, but people who are not willing to put the back-breaking work of breeding dogs, of staying up late, of going through the heartbreak of losing puppies and all this. We are losing breeders. We're getting more people who want to run around the ring, get a big flash rosette or trophy, and that's all they're concerned about. Their heart is not in the breeds, to improve breeds or to pursue with that. So I think it's a problem that's a bit mixed. We've got both sides going on.
Yeah. Before I let Andrew say something, and I'm sure he will have a lot to say on this subject, I want to say one thing. Unfortunately, I've spoken with many, many show organizers, and it happens a lot of times that if you bring a good judge or you bring a specialist judge, you will get less entries than if you bring one of those other judges, which I'm calling lottery judges. And we have these discussions at home all the time, should we go here, should we go there, should we go this, should we do that? And sometimes I will say, well, go enter, because really you can never know what can happen. And these people, I think they get bigger entries because it is really like that. And we need to be honest, among our among our colleagues, there are people that you really never know what is going to happen. So people think, okay, everybody should give it a try because anything can happen. And these people, honestly, they attract bigger entries than some people who are well known as judging honestly, to the breed standard, and so on and so on. Andrew, tell us everything what you want to say.
Well, of course, you've just, you've gone off at a tangent. Now I'm going to have to try to remember exactly what it was that Gopi said that I wanted to pick up on. First off, you've got to accept the fact that in recent years, you have to generalize. The profile of the exhibitors has changed. The profile of judges has changed. First off, particularly at these big FCI shows where you get all these, I mean, I lose track of all the titles they've got, and you see them plastered all over Facebook, junior reserve winning world, blah, 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 blah. So many titles. I genuinely believe that very few of the people who spend vast amounts of money to go and exhibit at these shows, very few of them actually go with the main intention of getting an informed opinion from an expert. They go for titles. They don't even go for critiques because
because they don't exist anymore.
because they're not going to get them.
Yeah.
And it's a well-known fact that the best judges do not pull the best entries, because if you are and let's look at this in the context of the UK. If you are a judge of a particular breed and you are knowledgeable, you are honest, you are known to admire a particular type, and types do exist within the confines of the breed standard. If you judge consistently, over a period of time, your entries will drop off, because the educated exhibitors would say, for example, and I'm just making up a completely fictitious scenario here. Let's take it to Old English. Well, it's pointless me taking this under Davor because there's no way he's going to accept this coat, for example.
Yeah.
Because judges are known for having, their particular priorities. When you get, to use your expression, the lottery judge, I mean, the world and his wife enters, because they haven't got the slightest idea what they're going to do. And I'll give you a rather sort of sad example of this. Joe Braddon was acknowledged as being one of our most knowledgeable judges. He was an all-rounded judge and a great breeder of pointers, pugs, cocker spaniels, and whatever. Putting it tactfully, Joe, he had a bit of a reputation for sometimes not doing quite what he should have done. But his knowledge was absolutely, incredible. And I remember a situation where he judged Great Danes one year, and he was putting up heavy dogs that were almost going towards Molosser in type. 2 years later, I watched him judge the breed. They looked like greyhounds. And I said to him afterwards, Joe, I just don't know what you like in this breed. No, he said, but I'll always get an entry. Keep them guessing. which wasn't Joe being faithful to his knowledge of that breed.
Yeah.
But it was, do anything and we'll pull the entries in. Whereas, as I said, the consistent people who year in, year out, I mean, for example, people have said to me, come and judge beagles for me. And I'll say, well, not if you want a record entry, because people will know exactly what I want in that breed and what I won't tolerate.
Yeah.
So the best judges don't get the best entries necessarily. There will be exceptions, obviously.
Yeah.
But as I said, the profile of both exhibitor and judge has changed. And I mean, it apart from the fact that as I said, the exhibitors, and Gopi, he was so right when he said we don't have the breeders that we had. We have, ticket collectors. But also the profile of the judges changed, because you just don't. I mean, my two colleagues here are both all breeds judges, with admirable reputations. But I mean, it saddens me when you go to, when I was traveling a lot, you would go to shows and sit round the group ring, talking to these people. And when I first started going to Scandinavia, and you all know that I have a huge respect for the Scandinavian dog scene, when I started going to Scandinavia, you would sit there and there would be Hans Lechter and Rainer Voren and Marianne Furst Danielson, and various other really sort of Ola strong top all-rounder judges, and you would clamour to get near to them just to listen to their comments on the dogs in the group, and that's how you would learn. And coming from the UK, obviously in the groups in Scandinavia, we saw lots of breeds that we didn't have in the UK at that time. So it was a great opportunity to learn in that way. I mean, before I sort of wound down the traveling, I would go to those same shows and sit at those same groups, and it used to drive me bananas because all I could hear from was what breeds I'd been passed for, what groups I'd been passed for, where I've judged, where I'm going to judge, who uses the best hotel, who pays the just judging fee, and nobody ever talked about the dogs in the ring.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you've got a generation of all-rounder judges, and don't get me wrong, there are some excellent all-rounders and emerging all-rounders, but generally speaking, you do not have the all-rounders of substance that we had when I was growing up, and that we sort of looked up to. And that is why exhibitors get dispirited, because they see these people just acquiring breeds for the sake of acquiring breeds. I mean, nobody knocks the British system more than I do. But the one thing about the UK system is we get approved one breed at a time.
Yeah.
And it was a very slow process. And I mean, in the old days, the British system strangled itself, quite frankly, because it kept so many people back. But you went for the breeds that you were genuinely interested in. I mean, when I would send a questionnaire to the Kennel Club, you can guarantee that in that breed, I'd probably been to 5 or 6 breed club specialty open shows just to sit ringside and talk to the breeders about that breed, because that's where you learn. Yeah. You don't learn at seminars and ticking off boxes. You learn sitting ringside, talking to seasoned, experienced, successful breeders who are happy enough to be honest and share their knowledge with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Davor, can we connect a little bit this? Why are the exhibitors losing their trust in judges with another subject, or maybe just to get your opinion on this? Is it important for somebody who wants to be a good judge to be previously a good breeder, an experienced exhibitor, or that has nothing to do with it? You can have like never bred 1 liter or never made up 1 champion and still be a great judge.
Yeah, that's another wide topic. Yeah. So let me just come back on the judges. So it's okay. You mentioned you call them lottery judge specialists. We have all kinds of judges, good judge, bad judge, and everything. It really depends on education, on experience, and everything. So it is very, very different. Yeah. But we are all the time talking about judges. This judge, that judge, political judge, this type of judge, and blah, blah, blah. But we almost never talk about the level of knowledge of exhibitors and breeders. Yeah? Some of the exhibitors, they start showing dogs, and after 2-3 years, they know everything. Yeah? They know everything. They know more than, I don't know, the top breeders for. So it's not easy. It's not so simple. It is a combination of everything you have on all sides. About judges and the breeders, yeah. For me, okay, if you never have bred anything good or showed good dog or something, yeah. So what is your credibility, basically? Okay, you can become a judge, you can pass the exams and everything, you can get the license, whatever, yeah. But what is your really credibility to tell something? This is good, this is bad, this is not, yeah. So personally, I don't believe in that. Yeah, for me, you have to be good breeder, successful breeder, exhibitor, at least in one breed that you show that you know what are you doing, what are you looking for, to start to have the puppies, litters, and then this is much more important decision you make in a whelping box. When you are selecting dog for a breed, this is much more important than to win best of breed, CACIB or whatever, yeah? Because you start your own education in your whelping box, and then you see you are right or wrong, many decisions through the generations. Because in the first generation, everybody can be a good breeder. But after few generations, that shows if you know what are you looking for or not. And after that, if you are successful, then you have something to give to people and some reason to become a judge and to give your opinion that can be, let's say, important for other people. So for me, yes, it is possible. Theoretically, it's possible to have a good judge without any experience. Theoretically, but in reality, I don't believe that.
Gopi, before you say something on the subject, I mean, I must say that I have met some people who have never bred or shown top quality dogs, but they were really good judges and I really respected them. And I have met some people who were amazing breeders and amazing exhibitors, but they never made up good judges. But there is this question, maybe, as Davor said, of credibility. How do you look at that, at this?
I totally agree with Davor. I mean, why would I want the opinion of someone who couldn't even breed a decent dog to give me an opinion of my dogs or to give me a critique? It's pointless. It's like, you know, you're going to a doctor without a certificate because he's just cheap or something like that. So definitely, because when we're judging, and I think my two colleagues, or all three of you are all judges, will agree. There are times when you stand in the middle of the ring and you have to make a decision as a breeder and not as a judge. You have to put your breeding priorities. Like what's easier, your two dogs similar, what's easier to change? Oh, a head or a front or a rear. And you're thinking as a breeder, not as a judge against the breed standard, which is completely different. You're weighing up priorities for the sake of breeding. And I mean, people tend to forget this, and I say this in one of my lectures, is that when you judge dogs, we're assessing breeding stock. That's something that seems to have escaped people. Many judges today don't agree with that or don't think that they're assessing breeding stock, but we are assessing breeding stock, and you have to have your breeder hat at times when you're judging, plus your judge's hat where you're going against the breed standard. Now, to be controversial a little bit as well, I was going to go on what Andrew was saying with respect to countries that, you know, educate the judges. Sometimes I see judges from countries that are so educated, where they've gone breed by breed and taken 70 years to get one group, but they make terrible judges. And it's simply because I don't think that education is important. Don't get me wrong, it's very important. I'm a firm believer in education. But if the fundamentals and the foundation is not there, if they don't understand, you know, locomotion and what a straight front does, and having overangulation, what sort of movement you're going to get, or what having a long loin or a weak loin or weak pastern will do with terms of movement, and all these basics, the building blocks, they can study till kingdom come, they can memorize breed standards, they can recite it, but I would never give them money to buy me a dog, never. Because they have head knowledge, but they don't have the eye. And that comes from being a breeder. As a breeder, when you go through different litter, you watch how a puppy develops through the various stages. And sometimes your really promising puppy reaches 14 months and you know, it's terrible and you have to give it away as a pet. But it's understanding all that and having that gut feeling. It's having that gut knowledge to be able to, when you judge dogs, because we can't know every breed in detail. I can't be, as an all-rounder, I can't know the 400 breeds in detail, but it's our knowledge, our foundation about general dog things, about, you know, locomotion, about all this, about structure, about muscles, about movement, that helps us judge dogs well. So I don't think over-education, just as, listen, I'm totally against the microwave judges that, you know, 5 minutes, they're all breeds. I disagree with that as well. But I think there has to be a balance. And if they're a good breeder in the first instance, I think that's a good start.
Before I let you, Andrew, say something on this subject, I want to say one thing, especially to what Gopi mentioned, that sometimes we need to judge, you know, as breeders. I mean, I had the situation 2 weeks ago, judging miniature schnauzers in Romania. And there came a woman who was obviously for the first time at her show. She had the dog which has been groomed like shit, looked like when a dog enters and you say this is an easy, very good, the dog has not been trimmed properly. The dog was a little bit brownish on the legs. The dog was not shown well, and so on and so on. So I said, okay, here comes another very good. I have put this dog on the table, and when I have put my hands on him, I said, there is a lot of good things on this dog. There is a wonderful forechest. There is straight front legs. There is a correct length of upper arm. There is a good top line, which doesn't look like that because of all this coat, which is groomed improperly. And at the end, I finished, giving him the cuts over a few dogs which were perfectly groomed, but I didn't think they had good construction. And somebody who was watching from outside, I'm sure they were saying, I mean, this guy, he is really stupid like hell, But I was there thinking like, if I would bring this dog to Javier and tell him, please groom him for me, I would buy him and I would use him for my breeding, And these two, they were groomed, but there was nothing that I would really want from them in my breeding. Sometimes it happens. Andrew, tell me. Andrew.
Yeah.
Tell me.
What was the question?
Can a person who has never had any experience as a breeder, who never bred a good dog, who never showed a top quality dog, be a good judge?
No, sorry, I heard the question. Yeah, strangely, I know what the theory is, but in practice, and I mean, I think you yourself have just said this. I mean, I have known several people who have never achieved anything, either as a breeder or an exhibitor, but have had a deep interest in the sport, who have risen to become extremely capable judges. I mean, he's no longer with us, but I mean, David Samuel was a gentleman. He was a Welshman. He was secretary of the Welsh Kennel Club for many years. He and his wife bred Shetland sheepdogs on a very minor scale. They never won a challenge certificate. But David was encouraged to start judging, and he ended up. I don't know whether he ever actually did a best in show. He was certainly a group judge. He judged a group of crufts shortly before he died. And I mean, David was an extremely capable judge of many breeds. His integrity was unquestionable, and he was a very, very capable judge. Similarly, I've seen, and this tends to apply to breed. I don't even call them breed specialists, breeder judges. I've seen some people who have made up champion after champion after champion, and you put them in the middle of the ring, and they are an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's because they get hung up on certain breed points that they've struggled with in their breeding program. You can't say they don't have an eye, because they wouldn't have had that success as a breeder if they didn't have some kind of gut feeling about things. Maybe it's a question of temperament. They just can't handle the stress of judging, because let's not beat about the bush. It's not just a question of going in there and placing dogs in order of merit. It's also a question of coping with the pressures. And there are pressures, and if you're a shrinking violet, and that lady's going to be judging your dog in 3 weeks' time, and that is sired by and all the other crap that comes into some people's heads, that they find all that very hard to process, instead of just concentrating on the one thing that matters, and that is the dog at that end of the lead, and balancing out its virtues against its faults.
Davor, I want to ask you, all three of you, another thing. And this is another thing that has been discussed quite a lot. I mean, you became, let's say, a famous judge quite a long time ago, but you always continued breeding and showing dogs by yourself. People will say, this is not fair. Davor was sitting last weekend with Ante at the judge's dinner, and now this weekend he's showing under him. Of course, he's going to win. My question is, should the people who become famous, let's say judges, like three of you definitely are, should they stop breeding and showing dogs, or they should really actually continue to do that so and make themselves credible in that way? Tell me your opinion.
First, I don't think I'm a very famous judge.
Well,
okay, but
okay.
anyway, look. To the people who are long in this sport, yeah, we know everybody, we know each other. I mean, in the ring, out of the ring, this and that, we know all of us. We know breeders, exhibitors, handlers, judges, everybody. We know each other. Yeah. For me, there's absolutely, if you become a judge and you are judging, there's no reason to stop the breeding. Yeah, simply, why to stop breeding? I don't see, because somebody would say, okay, that's not fair and blah blah. I really don't believe in that. Yeah. If you don't believe in my integrity and everything, simply don't enter under me. Yeah, just go to another judge if you don't believe me. Yeah, there are so many shows, so many judges. Every weekend you can choose from 5 different shows. So simply go to another place. Yeah.
Exactly. Gopi, what is your opinion on this?
Well, I'm going to quote Andrew Brace as he's here, that you should be able to judge grandma's dog and place her where she deserves to be placed in the line. But that doesn't mean that grandma should come and show her dog under you. And I think that's the bigger problem in the dog world, where it's not about me and you, Ante, being friends and being on a judging panel together, and then 3 weeks time or 5 weeks time or 2 weeks time you come and show a dog under me, because I will still place you where you deserve to be placed. But it's this close relatives and all the connections showing. I think that's terrible. I don't think that judges who have this passion for breeding dogs should stop breeding dogs or showing their dogs. Why should they? If they lose this passion, it's what started all of us off. We all started by showing a dog, by breed. We never started judging dogs first. We started by breeding dogs, by showing dogs, breeding dogs, and that's our basic passion. And why give it up just because we're a judge, or say we shouldn't be showing? I think more judges need to just judge dogs and not people, or as Andrew was saying, looking at who's doing the next Kasib, or next, who's judging next weekend, or whatever it is. So no, I don't think judges should stop. This is the same argument that, I'm sorry, losers tend to use about, oh, professional handlers do all the winning. Well, listen, professional handlers tend to show really good dogs. I'm not saying everything they show is I'm not saying every single thing is fantastic. And that's your job as a judge to have knowledge on a breed and see if they're trying to fool you. Listen, the job of an exhibitor is to fool the judge, and the job of the judge is to find out, put your hands on the dog, to slow them down, do all these things to really judge the dog. So it's the same argument as saying, oh, they shouldn't use professional handlers. I think yes, we live in a less than ideal world, but in an ideal world, why should they stop showing and breeding dogs?
Andrew, before you say your opinion on this, I'm going to tell you just a short story. Must be maybe 10 years ago, we were together with Carlos Renau somewhere on a show in Portugal. And he said to me, when I was invited for the first time to judge Helsinki Winner Show, they have put me to judge Norwich Terriers. And he said that was not really a breed I was, so much connected with. And I have seen some, I have judged some, but that was not where I was a specialist, obviously. He was a Group 9 man. And he says, suddenly there comes Hasse Lehtinen with a dog in my ring. And like my hands start shaking, my legs start shaking. And I'm thinking like, Jesus Christ, I really, really don't like this dog. And he says, okay, I was thinking, here comes the end of my career in Scandinavia forever, but I'm going to do what I think it should be done. And I gave to Hasse Lehtinen, very good. And he says, the judging finished. And here comes Hasse walking towards me. And I'm thinking, okay, here starts the drama, And Hasse says, okay, Carlos, you have passed the test. He said, I brought a bad dog under you just to see if you are going to care that I'm showing the dog. And I mean, that's genius. So Andrew, you can continue on the subject.
Yeah, I think the Carlos Norwich Hassa story is it's one of the most famous ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hassa could be naughty, but he proved the point, and of course we all love Carlos. I think there should be no legislation or guidelines or whatever. I think this is entirely down to personal choice. I think if established busy all-rounders are in a position to carry on with their breeding program and show dogs when they should be allowed to. It's purely personal choice. I mean, there is. I haven't shown a dog for some years. I made a decision that after the last big winning beagle I had, because at that time I was very busy with the judging, and I just felt it was time to pack it in. I never bred on a large scale like my two colleagues did. I bred a litter when I wanted something to show, and out of those litters, we did reasonably well. I think there is the problem is when you're showing dogs, taking Hassa out of the equation. I mean, I know when I was judging more and more, sometimes you'd come out of the ring and you would. I mean, I would often think to myself privately, did my dog get that because that was me? Or did my dog not get that because that was me?
It works both ways.
And
Yes.
and it works both ways. And I mean, Gopi alluded to the fact that the unsuccessful exhibitor will always trot it, and I hate that expression, and I'm not going to do air quotes, but faces. The number of times I've had to take people to one side and say, look, no one came into this sport as a face, because everyone started off as a novice once upon a time.
Yeah.
And it's a question of people go, those that stick with the sport, and with various levels of success, and this whole face thing. The other thing that really infuriates me is and you hear it more and more. Well, they are only putting their friends up. If you think about it logically, everyone's journey, to use one of the current favorite expressions, when you come into a breed, you tend to gravitate towards people who have specimens of that breed similar to your own because you like the same kind of dog. The chances are they may be similarly bred. And as you become more established in that breed, the chances are that you're going to be using dogs that are owned by people who have become friends for no other reason than you like the same kind of dogs. And then further on down the line, when these people begin judging, the chances are that those people are going to show under them, and they are showing under them the kind of dog that they both admire, possibly similarly bred. And the minute they put up a dog that they genuinely think is the best dog on the day, all the ringsiders can see is putting up his friend. And they never actually. I've never actually heard anyone walk away from a ringside and say, he put up that dog because he thought he was the best there. They always come up with all these convoluted reasons. I mean, he used his stud dog last week. She's judging last week. They sit on the same committee. They traveled to a dog show last week together. They're sleeping together. All sorts of weird and wonderful expressions. But I've never actually anyone heard say, oh yeah, that dog won because the judge thought it was the best on the day. I've never actually heard anyone say that.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Guys, I want to discuss a little bit one of the subjects, which is another actual topic of the moment, why the entries on most of the shows are drastically going down. But I will start that conversation with a few easy questions, not long answers. First one, I'm going to ask Davor. I have checked just before our interview. I think you mentioned the entry fees. World Dog Show Bologna in Italy next year. For the non-members of the ENCI, first deadline 116 euros per dog. Last deadline 171 euros per dog. Is that too much?
That's crazy. Come on. 171, that's about almost 200 American dollars. I mean, simply, that's, for me, it's totally crazy. Sorry, but it's totally crazy. Yeah. And then you come about, and then you spend what, 2 minutes in the ring.
Yeah.
For me, that's
Gopi.
too expensive. So one thing, absolutely, prices are ridiculous. Okay, I know it is, the price of the organization is also high. Yeah, but simply this, let's say 170 euros for one dog. I mean, for me, it's crazy.
Gopi?
170 is expensive, but I can see why they're doing it. I'm thinking as an organizer, I want you to get your entries in early so I can organize things much simpler. If you look at the first entry is 115, which is about average. It's the average entry for a Euro dog show or something like that. So I think they want people to put the entries in early, and then it's easier for them to organize things. The high fee for the last entry is more to dissuade you from waiting till the last minute to then put in your entry.
Yeah, Andrew, if the Kennel Club would say that, for example, next year the entry fee for crafts is 150 pounds, how many English people would enter?
Not that many. There would be a considerable drop because, I mean, you know, we have it so easy in this country. I mean, I haven't shown a dog for years, but I think I'm right in saying that the average entry is still 30 odd. But 30 odd pounds. Ante, you've entered more English shows.
Yeah, around 30 pounds, yes.
Right, 30 odd pounds. Which, you know, making comparisons with our European friends, you know, it's nothing. But it's.
But you also don't pay judges.
No, exactly. And you know, I think that's something that I've always been acutely embarrassed about. I think the way that the British, and there are exceptions, some of our championship shows do pay judges the total expenses. They probably don't pay judging fees.
Yeah.
But they do cover total expenses. But you see, what annoys me and you brought up this subject about foreign judges in the UK. It always amuses me. I listen to these people as I've been traveling around over the years. And they're always very, very sarcastic about the British Kennel Club and the fact that they don't do this and they don't do that and whatever. And it's always people who've never ever judged in the UK, of course.
Yeah.
The ones with the criticism. And yet these people would walk over hot coals to become a member of the British Kennel Club, which is an organization that they've taken the piss out of for years. And I mean, I've often said to people when I've been going around Europe,
I think we lost Andrew for a minute. Wait just to see if his connection comes back.
Frozen Andrew.
Frozen Andrew. Okay, let's wait and see. Okay, Davor, you wanted to say something. Let's see if Andrew will come back.
Yeah,
naturally, or we will have to do.
Yes. I wanted to say something about this first deadline, second deadline, third deadline for the entries, and then increase of the prices and everything. Yeah. And then let's say last deadline, I didn't even know about that. 170, first deadline, 115.
Yeah.
But first deadline, you watch how many months before the show? It's 3-4 months.
Well, I can check for you, just that we are clear about the subject.
There?
We lost you.
We lost you a little bit, but we gave you time to come back. Now just continue where you stopped.
Where did I get cut off?
You said something that these people would walk over something, just to become members of the Kennel Club.
Walk over hot coals to become a member of the British Kennel Club, which is somewhere that they're never likely to go for lunch. And they polish their little green badges. I mean, I do find it rather amusing that these people who are so critical of the British Kennel Club can't wait to become a member of it.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. I think it's appalling that when British judges go overseas
Oh.
Again, we lost him. I think it's maybe internet connection.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Okay, we wait that he comes back. Anyhow, to help you, Davor, with your subject, 116 euros till 1st of February, 134 euros till 1st of March, 152 euros till 1st of April, and then 171 euros till 1st of May. The show is somewhere middle. The show is somewhere middle of June.
Beginning of June. 3rd,
Yeah.
4th, 5th, 6th. Yeah.
So basically, you have 4 deadlines, and the first entry is what, 4 or 5 months before the show.
Yeah, first of February.
Yeah, so it's possible it's possible that some dogs won't be even born at that time. When you have to enter them for the puppy class, they are not even born. Yeah,
That's
if you
true.
want to enter them for the, let's say, lower price. So it's I don't see the reason for that. Really, I don't see the reason.
Beltran, we lost Andrew. Okay, guys, give us 2 or 3 minutes, please, just that we get Andrew back, and then we continue. Just stay online, don't go anywhere. We are coming back in 2 or 3 minutes. We just need to get Andrew back.
The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head.
I'm happy that you waited for us because we have few more things to say. Anyhow, we have finished the subject of entry deadlines and entry fees, which are quite expensive for the big section shows. Let's go now to the subject of critics. Do we need critics or we don't need critics? Do they help or they don't help? I must say that we had a long, I mean, I love the fact that the World Show in Helsinki had critics. I love the fact that they were online for all the dogs, you know, and I must say that about 30 hours of driving from Helsinki to Zagreb, we spent about 20 hours reading critics of different judges and different dogs, because Javier would say, let me see what he wrote about this one. Let me hear what he wrote about that one in different breeds. And you could see that some people were really writing, you know, long critiques with different details, and some of them have made critiques, let's say for 20, 30, 50, 60 dogs, more or less the same. Gopi, let's start with you. Do we need critiques, especially if we talk about the section shows, or critiques are just stupid thing?
I personally don't think. Okay. My opinion is that at a breed specialty show where you have a breeder judging a breed, then I think critiques are mandatory, because then I want to know the opinion of somebody who's in my breed, who understands my breed in details. Yes, we talked about having specialist judges do world dog shows or section shows or whatever it is, but I generally find that normally critique from someone who does not know your breed in depth, does it really matter? Does it, you know, am I going to take that seriously? Not all of us are like Andrew Brace or Anne Ingram that can write amazing critiques that where by reading the critique I can guess the breed and get it spot on. I think it's an acquired talent. It's something, and I think sometimes it can slow down. I don't think someone who can't write a good critique is not a good judge. Put it that way. And I think if we're judging judges based on critique writing skills, we're missing the forest for the trees. You know, that sort of thing.
Andrew, I want to ask you one thing. When we were in Mexico, I spoke with Jeff Horswell about that. I mean, you have this system of, you know, judging dogs and then coming home and then taking out all these names and writing critiques for 4 dogs and so on and so on. Would it be easier maybe to have, you know, an iPad in the ring and do there at the spot immediately the critiques for all these, for these 4 dogs, and make the whole system easier? Or you prefer to come home and then write it? I mean, how do you remember the dogs, or you write some notes, or how do you do it?
Well, I don't think anyone relishes coming home and writing the critiques afterwards. I mean, Gopi just mentioned my good friend Anne Ingram, who writes brilliant critiques, and I mean, Anne takes her iPad into the ring. She writes her critiques. She goes home. She puts the names in, you know, from the. I mean, now we've got the luxury of fast data and IM Press. So if you're judging at a general show, you can copy and paste the names.
Yeah.
If you're doing breed club shows, which I tend to concentrate on now, of course you've got to wrestle with the catalogue, where the print is in microdot these days because everyone's saving on paper, and that is a bit of a pain. But I mean, I mean, what I'm doing these days is I'm dictating my critique into a notes program, email it to myself, and then I tidy it up on the laptop when I get home, which saves time. But I mean, I don't think if you were to survey 100 British judges, I think you might have 2 or 3 that said they enjoy writing critiques.
Yeah, I mean, we have this new, you know, I don't know how you call them, like groups or companies who make all the job, you know, for the shows, especially for the big shows, but we use them also for the small shows in Croatia, you know, and they come with these iPads, you know, when you have all these catalog numbers, and, you know, you there dictate this and it's done. You know, I mean, I don't see that, you know, UK is not able to provide one iPad for each ring and say, please say your critiques for 4 dogs that you have placed. I mean, then to go back home and write it.
I think in fairness, technology is changing rapidly, and I believe FOSS Data have invested a lot into iPads, so that there are iPads, sort of throughout the show, and maybe incorporating the facility to write critiques could be the next step forward. The problem is, I don't know how many judges would be confident enough to actually, all right, the 4 of us, we do it on a regular basis, so I mean it's not so much of a chore, but a breeder judge who is judging once every 2 years, I don't know whether they'd be comfortable doing that. But I mean it's certainly it is an area certainly that I think can be explored in the future to make everyone's life easier.
I mean,
I have to say, going back to what Gopi said, and I mean, I'm not within the FCI, but I mean, obviously, I'm well aware of the situation. I agree with him wholeheartedly. I think critiques have a great place at breed club specialties, with obviously, and I mean, just because it's a big breed specialty, they don't have to be breed specialists. I mean, if they're well thought of within the breed, breed clubs invite the people who they think know their breed. But I think that is the place where the critiques probably have more relevance. At these big multi-breed shows, the ones that do still allow critiques, as Ante said, you can read 40 critiques, and whether they're good, very good, or excellent, you'll see 40 critiques that are basically just variations on a theme, which is pretty much worthless.
But I said in a way, those critiques help us exhibitors also to judge the judges in a way. And Davor wants to say, obviously, Davor, you didn't still say anything on this subject, yes, critiques or not critiques, but can I just put one extra question on whatever you want to say? 171 euros for a cross on a paper which says maybe excellent, maybe very good, maybe best of breed, and that's all.
Okay, let me tell you something. So I think that we need both shows with critiques and without critiques. So when we have show with critiques, then I absolutely understand higher entry fees, but at the same time, less dogs per judge. Because you can't expect to have 150 dogs and critiques. So you can say, okay, nice dog, not nice dog, or something like that. So I think that we need both in FCI system. I know that American Canadian system, no critiques, UK critiques in the paper and something. But I just want to tell you one short story about the critiques. So I used to live in Canada, and I like they have their Canadian Dog Show Judge Association, which is a great organization, really, of the show judges, and every few months or something, or weeks, I don't know, it was like one day, 3 breeds with presentations from the breeders, judges about the dogs, live dogs there and everything. And then they asked me to give the presentation about all the English sheepdogs, fine. And they also, then Canadian judge, this organization, they asked me to give one presentation how to write a critique in FCI. Because of course in Canada they don't have critiques, they are going to judge in FCI, they need to write critiques, they didn't know how to do that. Okay, and we have quite instructions in FCI how long do you have to start here, you write everything, be polite, blah blah. So I gave these presentations, and then the conclusion in this whole was, oh yeah, that's nice, we need critiques, that's super nice. And I say, okay, now I would like to give you 10 real life examples of a critiques. And a friend of mine, thank you Vana, sent me 10 critiques of her dog. So it was one dog, I removed the name of the dog, breeder, judge, everything, only subject, only the text of the critique. And I said, okay, this is the critique number 1, this is nice, and it's politely, like head was not good, something, but politely said. Then critique number 2, top line was not good. Critique number 3, tail was not good, da 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 da, everything. 10 critiques, dog, 10 critiques, and everything. Those 10 critiques, everything was wrong. Yeah, from each critique, something was wrong. And then people, oh yeah, nice. And then I said, okay, by the way, that was 10 critiques from the absolutely the same dog, yeah, which was the number one dog of this breed in Italy for that year. And then it was like, do we really need
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, no, but that's I mean that's one of the points. Yeah, but I mean I love the fact that we can have the critics. I would say for a normal like Katsip show or whatever, maybe even not. But for the big world section show, I would say yes. Put 8 dogs per judge, give them to write the critiques, and let me see if he put any effort to understand the breed and if he has really tried his best, you know, to say something, even if, you know, or just he wrote like some of them in Finland did, you know, 85, 90, absolutely same critiques for the dogs who got very good and for the dogs who got best of breed. Anyhow, Gopi, you have been quite active on the subject. So I'm going to ask you, it's going to become obligatory from the 1st of January 2026 on all the FCI shows to have bred by exhibitor class. Do we need that or we don't need that?
I absolutely think we need that, especially when people are complaining that there's too many professional handlers or whatever. I think we need to give a platform for new people coming into our sport. One of the biggest problems I find in our sport is that judges, fellow exhibitors, organizers are not prepared to give the time for new people, to spend the time investing in new people, to encourage them, to get them as tomorrow's breeders, as new exhibitors. And yet we complain that we don't have, the sport's not growing. So I think the bred by class will be a good way to encourage breeders again. As I said earlier, I think we're losing breeders and we've got exhibitors. And I think if you have this class to encourage breeders to be able to show their own dogs or to showcase the dogs there, why not? I mean, I know some people have gone off on this saying, why do we need enough? You know, if you can't win in the open class or the whatever, why do you need this? No, I think you look at the American system. They have a bred by group. They have bred by best in show, and it's helped. It's helped bolster the numbers. It's helped maintain. It's helped increase the numbers. People love it because they feel they're not competing against the professionals. These are people that are not aspiring to win best in show. These are people who just want to go to the dog show, enjoy the shows, have a little bit of a win, come away happy. Why not? Why not create that? Give them that ability to.
I can tell you that if Davor and I enter in bred by exhibitor class, we go there also to win best in show, not to have a little bit of fun. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not entering any bred by exhibitor to win the CAC because I cannot win it in another class. Like I'm still going for this for the best in show if I can.
I would never see you or Davor in the bred by class. I don't think you'd be there because you'd go straight to champion, intermediate or open. I think especially with the way people have reacted, and especially some of the big breeders have reacted to this, I think they would avoid this class like the plague. So it's going to be people that are. It's a way to encourage people to breed dogs. People are not breeding dogs anymore, so why not?
Yeah. What is your position on this, Andrew?
I never understood the rationale behind it coming in and why it actually had, became a topic of such controversy. I mean, it's just a class. I mean, the class has existed in the UK ever since I can remember. You don't see it scheduled very often, but other than at breed club shows. I mean, it is what it is. It's bred by exhibitor. I mean, there are no restrictions on, the owner or the dog or whatever. And if I can just clarify Gopi's point, when you say bred by exhibitor, I assume that this refers when it says exhibitor, it means the person actually handling the dog, rather than the owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see any objection to the class whatsoever. And I mean, in the UK, certainly the bred by exhibitor class was welcomed by a lot of established exhibitors who, for the sake of argument, would have had sort of two champions in the same sex.
Yeah.
So they would have to have one dog in the open, but the bred by exhibited class was a facility so they could actually show a second dog.
Yeah. But Davor, what do you think about this new class?
I'm absolutely for that. I have experience with that, both America and Canada, and I don't see anything. I don't see any argument against this class. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is we have
Okay.
to support it. We have to support breeders as much as we can because the breeders are crucial. They are the most important in all this. Because without breeders, zero.
Yeah. And as Gopi said, it looks like this is the thing which is like the biggest problem of the sport at the moment, that nobody wants to breed dogs. And I mean, we need to understand that. I mean, there are coming so many rules and regulations. And to be honest, we spoke about that in Mexico, you and me, Davor. Like Group 2 at some point, 10, 20 years ago, that was like the best group of all the groups to be judged. Today, the quality in the Group 2 is so bad because people just don't breed big dogs, big breeds. It's so difficult to breed big breeds. It's so difficult to feed them. It's so difficult to transport them. It's so expensive. So obviously, smaller breeds are becoming more and more popular. Bigger breeds are like going to extinction, more or less. Tell me, guys, I start with you, Davor. Give me maybe one sentence or two sentences. In your opinion, what is the good judge and what is the bad judge?
Good judge. First, knowledge, honest, integrity.
Okay. And the bad one? Everything opposite.
Lack of any of those components.
Okay. What is for you, Andrew, a good judge, and what is for you a bad judge?
I think a good judge is someone who feels passionately about a breed, who understands a breed standard with all its idiosyncrasies, and is capable of judging with total integrity, with no influence other than the merits of the dog.
Okay. Gopi?
What Andrew said, to judge without fear or favor, and someone who can be forgiving. Judging dogs is about how forgiving you can be. It's not finding perfection, because we'll never find perfection. I think a bad judge is someone who's there because they want the judging fee, or they want the experience of traveling somewhere. They have absolutely no interest or passion in dogs, or the sport. They just, it's about themselves.
Yeah. I want to ask you one thing. We had this in the last few years, coming more and more of these regulations. No grooming arms on the tables. All dogs they should pass like a test that they were not colored, or that any product has been used on the coat. No hairspray, no chalk, no trimming on the show, no this and no that. And suddenly this was starting to be a big thing, which was going on into more and more and more and more and more countries. No wrapping, no this, no that. And then suddenly came this thing called grooming competition. Started in Asia as a huge thing. You can see this like 100 bichons and poodles on the tables. People love it. People enjoy it. Cosmetic companies investing huge amounts of money in this. This becoming popular, amazingly popular, and then we see it now, a few days ago, it's going to be a huge grooming competition, even at crafts, So is it time maybe that these rules and regulations about showing dogs and grooming dogs also change a little bit? Because the FCI rule in general says like, you can't use anything. What is changing the texture, what is changing the color, what is changing this and that. I mean, we are all using that. Absolutely. I think if you have a dog and you want to have a dog with a happy life and you want him to spend the summer with you, he's going to have brown legs. If you color his brown legs a little bit, I don't think you have made any big thing. If you spray a little bit, the old English, to give him a little bit of shape, I don't think you have done a huge thing, and so on and so on. Where we are going with this and how this is going to go, because it looks like in one side, show dogs should not be touched. They should be like taken out of the crate and shown. And on the other side, in another hole, there is all this luxurious grooming competition where everybody wants to show that he's a groomer. Where we are going with all this, Gopi?
The grooming competitions didn't start in Asia. Asia is the one that led the way to formalize it in the FCI. Grooming competitions were huge in Europe and in America long before the FCI came on board. Groomania, we've got all these big competitions. It's just that we in the pedigree dog world or the conformation side were just unaware of this. So Asia helped to formalize it in the FCI. But the grooming competitions that we run, that the FCI runs, is still based on the same rules. That means no coloring, no permanent use of anything that alters texture or color of a dog. So because they are grooming to FCI breed standards. So when they're doing a grooming, except for the pet category, where they're doing it, creatively, every other category is that you're grooming the dog according to FCI breed standards. The reason it's popular is because it's creating this another avenue. People are, as I said, they're not interested in doing triangles or going out and back. They want other things. That's why agility, dances, all these other things. And grooming is another area, is to showcase your talent. There's so many talented groomers, and this is just a way for them to showcase. So I think your point about the rules, and some of the rules make sense, aren't they? It irritates me when I'm judging in the ring and I can look out of the ring and I can see a dog's been left on a table with the grooming arm the entire time. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
That's one extreme. That's one extreme. Let's go to another extreme. People, for example, at the World Show somewhere in Germany or Austria and Switzerland, have it, let's say, 30 dogs on the table, without the arm, where you need to be all the time keeping these dogs, and you actually need to have one person just standing with his dog, because when you have groomed it, you cannot put it back in the crate and go to check your ring. So, I mean, it's just two extremes. It should be somewhere, something in the middle.
I think because of some regulations where you can't cut the whiskers, you can't do this. It's government regulation that's gone ridiculous. So I think we've swung too far the other end of the pendulum. It's gone crazy.
And Davor, your breed is one of those where they are talking a lot about grooming and scissoring and spraying, and what is acceptable, what should not be acceptable.
Yeah, I think that we are really over-regulated. With so many things that you can't do and nobody can follow that. Okay, especially in my breed. I mean, if you're experienced judge, experienced breeder, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I know exactly what's the texture of this coat, what's the grooming. I mean, simply not important. Many times the bobtails come to my ring with spray, and I say, please, just don't do that to me, because you can't change anything with that. And I know this breed too well that hairspray can change it or something. But I want to tell you another thing. Basically, a few more things, very short. I mean, powder is forbidden, let's say. So it's not allowed to put powder on a dog. At the same time, it's okay to put powder on the human baby. So what's the point of that? Another thing is that about these grooming competitions. Of course, they are becoming more and more popular with 100. Even at some competitions, more entries at the grooming side than at the dog show. Which is nice, because people are looking for different. They are looking for the grooming. They are looking for agility. They are looking for, I don't know, running, fly ball, this and that. Nice. Plus grooming, that is also related to the business. Because many of those people need certificates. They want that's their job, that's their occupation. And last thing I want, without going to any details, how far we are going with these regulations, rules and regulations, and over regulations. Friday, best in show for a dog. Saturday, disqualified. Sunday, best in show. Saturday was disqualified. Guess why? Because the collar was too thin. I mean, is that too much?
I know what you are talking about. Well, who you are talking about. I mean, that's very true. I mean, we need we need less rules and regulations, and we should let the judges do their job. And I mean, I'm the first one who doesn't like to get, for example, a schnauzer in the ring where you cannot even see the skin of the dog because it has so much hairspray all over. I absolutely hate it, you know. But I like to see a poodle which has a little bit of spray, which has a little bit of style, which is not too much, and I don't need to check the texture on the top of the top knot. I can touch the coat on the side where there is no hairspray or anything. So it's still a beauty competition. Andrew, I'm very curious how the UK people are going to accept this new huge grooming competition at Crafts.
I think there's been for several years there's been a very, very healthy sort of grooming subculture where a lot of our top show people get involved and on an international level. I mean, there have been grooming competitions, you know, for years, I would think. I mean, Mike Wildman, you know, who you know, Ante, who has a grooming business and is a very successful Cocker Spaniel exhibitor and professional groomer. I mean, he's been competing and judging grooming competitions for more than a decade internationally. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be any big culture shock to the British people.
Yeah.
And unless the thing incorporates bringing in, you know, poodles with turquoise and green stripes on.
Well, that's also part of the grooming competition. So-called, Gopi can instruct you about the Asian style. That's extremely popular.
Yeah. That I think might not sit down.
Okay.
That kind of what I think Gopi used, creative, was it? Was that your word?
Yeah, creative. So you can
creative grooming.
You're not allowed to color. You can't color.
They actually televised. There was a television series a couple of years ago, which was based on grooming competitions, and I mean that just went to the other extreme. And as I said, you were having dogs that were stylized so that they looked like fortresses or birthday cakes, and you know, multicolored whatever. That I think a lot of people would find hard to believe, but I think taking the grooming onto a competitive level, I don't think that would be a shock to the system.
I can just tell you that, for example, we have quite a lot of grooming seminars regularly in Croatia, and when we get somebody, you know, to do, let's say, a seminar for the terriers or seminar for the poodles or so on, you can get 10, 15, maybe 20 people. When Susanna made the first seminar with a woman who came to teach Asian style, which means different color, different shapes, as you said, looking like a tiger, lion, and this, she got in 3 days 200 people. 200 people. Tell us, Gopi.
Okay, so under FCI rules, you cannot color and make them look like a tiger and make them look like a bear or whatever. You can trim the hair naturally to give a shape, like, you know, they do with the freestyle. They put a heart shape into the Bichon side, or they, you know, make them look like a bumblebee in terms. But you cannot. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to dye the dog and make it look like another animal. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's totally different. So the Asian style is to creative, but it's never under FCI. It's never to color it. Even with non-permanent chalk, you're just allowed to use a little bit of chalk, but you cannot dye it and make it look like another animal. Definitely not. It's not allowed.
But you can spray a poodle.
You can spray a poodle, and I tell you what,
which is against the FCI rules.
Okay, so Ante, again, it's a moderate amount of spray.
Yeah. But I mean, the FCI says no moderate or no.
To your point about all these people that turned up in droves to learn how to dye, you know, the dog to make it look like a tiger, that just shows you that there's a market. There's crazy people there that actually like their dogs to be a different color or to look like a, you know, I'm sure you've watched the YouTube videos where they send the dog to the groomer and they come back and then it looks like, I don't know, panda or something like that. And they love it. I mean, you know, you and I wouldn't do it, but apparently there's a market.
Of course. Davor, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I want to add something. Yeah, I don't know enough about grooming competitions and about rules there and everything, but I know something about grooming, of course, because I've been grooming bobtails for all my life. Yeah, and I really respect that. I respect people who groom their dogs well, and when they know what are they doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing is, if they want to make a big head, if they want to make a long neck, if they want to make a body short, yeah, according to the standard, okay, maybe this dog at this moment doesn't have enough neck or head, but they're trying to make that better with grooming. But
Yeah.
that means that they think about that, and
Yeah.
in the breeding, they know what is the problem, where they have to put
Yeah.
effort, and they will try to breed better dogs. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
and just to add another thing, so now this dog world is very much on a Facebook now, on Instagram, but very much on a Facebook, and you can see so many photoshopped dogs at the Facebook. Yeah. So for me, Photoshop at the Facebook is like a grooming in the in the real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes you can't even recognize a dog that you see on a Facebook, how much it is photoshopped,
It's
and
the
the
same
same
with
dog in
people.
the next day in the ring and blah blah. But again, but if they know how to Photoshop the dog to make it longer or shorter or more legs, okay, again, they know where is the mistake, what they have to improve in the breeding. Yeah. So there is also some positive thing on that.
Yeah. You know, there is this funny meme going around, saying, dear, people, please stop photoshopping yourself, because if you go missing, we will never be able to find you. So that's more or less that's it. I have, guys, only two more questions for you tonight. Let me start with you, Andrew. Um, in the FCI, I don't know what is the situation in the UK, but in the FCI we get, let's say, every year 2 or 3 new breeds. We are opening up slowly also to new colors. I'm sure that you have read a little bit about new colors in poodles, like everybody else. Is this a good thing? That we are opening to new colors in some breeds. Is it a good thing that we are recognizing new breeds from different countries, or we have them enough? And how is the situation in the UK?
Well, certainly I think we've got enough breeds, because the next step will be, giving sort of credibility to all the oodles and doodles. As regards color, I think you've got to look at it logically, and I mean, I understand all about tradition in breeds, but if colors occur naturally in a breed, and not as a result of sort of illicit crossbreeding way back, is it really so terrible to acknowledge that those colors exist within the confines of the breed standard? I think we have a lot, there are a lot more serious problems to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, as I said, a lot of it is because the dog world has changed so dramatically, and the rationale, of those people who drew up the original breed standards, most of which were sort of wealthy landowners with kennels of their own, and they favoured possibly certain colours. But I mean, if colours occur naturally within a breed, genuinely, I don't think that's a big problem.
Yeah, Davor, I think it was when you and I when we had our first interview. I think you mentioned something. I think, was it about the blue color in the Old English or something, or a silver or something, that it's not allowed by the FCI standard, but occurs from time to time in the litters, and you were all pro that being accepted, or I have mixed you with somebody. I don't know. Tell me, do we need new colors in the breeds, and do we need new breeds?
I think that about the bobtails, that was more, if I remember well, that was more about white splashes on
Or maybe this, yeah.
the
Maybe
body color.
this.
Yeah,
Maybe this, yeah.
it's coming everywhere, and now in FCI we don't. In FCI standard, it's not. In American standard, is yes. So, okay, so yes, going from country to country, almost every country has some new breeds coming. Yeah, they are not inventing the breeds, but they are natural breeds. Simply, they are working on it, and I mean, for me that is okay. When they
Yeah.
reach some level of standardization, why not? Same with the colors. Yeah, as Andrew mentioned, if this color is in the breed, you should recognize it. Yeah, simply, I just a few weeks ago, for first time in my life, I saw in live, yeah, giant schnauzers, black and silver. Yeah, I have never seen that before. Yeah, but then I talked to the people, and they said, "Look, we've been getting that in the litters forever." Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is for me. I mean, but talking about that, yeah, yes, we have too many breeds. I agree. We have so many breeds. It's unbelievable. But we have FCI breeds, and then it starts the story. AKC breeds, CKC breeds. We have different standards. For me, the bigger problem are different standards. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have one
I mean,
breed with
yeah.
3 or 4 different standards, that is for me bigger problem than the new colors, new.
I mean, you can get the red Affenpinscher in the litter, you can get a white boxer in the litter, and all these things. Gopi, for example, in your own breed in Dachshunds, we know America is much more open to different colors than the FCI. Would you like to see maybe in your own breed these colors that exist in the USA? And in general, do you think that we need more breeds?
Okay, with regards to colors, and you mentioned Dachshunds, when it's a health issue, or it potentially can be a health issue, if you breed, 2 dapples and you get missing eye sockets, or you double dapples and you have health issues, then definitely no. I don't agree with introducing new colors if they could potentially have health concerns attached to it. Definitely not. We have enough problems without adding additional things. But if, as Andrew said, naturally occurring colors that are there, genetic diversity, why are we so against genetic diversity? You've got new bloodlines to bring in to hybrid vigor. Why wouldn't you want it? If it's not going to put a health problem, there's no health problem attached, why not? We want hybrid vigor in breeds. As for new breeds, I'm sorry, I don't think there are enough breeds in the world. We have maybe 25, 30 breeds in Asia that have existed for hundreds of years, but they've just never been formally recognized by the FCI or by any organization, but they exist. There's many, but they've yet to go through the process. Some of them are in the process of being registered. So why not? These are part of the heritage of a country, and people are proud of them. So why not introduce them instead of saying, oh, we have too many? So what? It just shows that dogs are so diverse, they're so amazing, that they've been bred for various functions, they've helped man in various capacities, and it's not just a dog, they are unique individual breeds and characters. So I'm all for more breeds. Not making up breeds, not putting stuff together.
Not inventing new breeds, but yes, recognizing the ones that already exist for years. Okay, last question of the evening, guys. That you cannot predict the future, but I think with everything that is happening, you can maybe have your own ideas of what is going to happen. Let's start with you, Davor. What is, in your opinion, the destiny or the future for brachy breeds, for cavaliers, for hairless breeds? Are these breeds going to exist in 10 years? Are there going to be many countries where they're not going to be allowed to be bred and exhibited? I mean, you are one of these few famous people in the world who got fined by the Austrian government for judging hairless breeds in Austria. And I mean, where we are going, what is happening, what are your predictions?
Yeah. So about these fines from Austria, and that was from local municipality, and Austrian Kennel Club did a great job. They hired a lawyer, went to the court, and won at the court. Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do. And I think that's what's going on right now in Austria is the right thing to do. We have to organize and fight back. Yeah. So what's going on with brachy breeds? Yeah, there are in some countries, in some regions, there are problems because these animal rights people are, let's say, winning. Even I think that's totally stupid, because those animal rights people, they can't say that they love dogs more than we do. we can't say that everything is beautiful on our side among the breeders, because it's not. Yeah, but I think that we must have a common goal: breed healthy dogs, good dogs, and you can't say stop breeding hairless dogs. But they are part of the tradition in Mexico, in Peru for hundreds of years. So you can't stop them. Yeah. What I think that we have to do, I think that we have to find capable people of organizing all that, good marketing people, do good PR agency, do good lobbies, organize and try to organize all that, try to promote purebred dogs, and just not be in defensive position. Yeah. So to make it, we need, like Trump says, we need big and beautiful teams fighting for purebred dogs.
Yeah. Gopi, is it just that we don't hear so much about it, or is it really that for the moment your section doesn't have big problems if we talk about hairless breeds, if we talk about brachy breeds, if we talk about cavaliers and these things?
Not to say there aren't any problems, Ante. It's just that I think, you know, we haven't got the loonies after us, you know, so in such intensity as you have in Europe. I think the future of these breeds will be secure, because we're living in an age where you look at the programs that the FCI and kennel clubs are doing for health testing. That we are living in a sort of lifetime where there's science, there's DNA, there's stuff that we can do as breeders to health test, to find out, to breed away from these issues. You know, you've got Boas, you've got all these things with the brachy breeds. I think if breeders, you know, we're partly to blame, because we swept things under the rug for a long time, and we just thought it would go away. When it was exposed, we sort of got all defensive. But I think there's a more conscientious effort now from breeders to focus on health, to do health testing, to do DNA testing, to put these things into large, you know, I'm not saying they didn't care about them, but I'm saying to focus a little more about them without going, you know, without changing the breed, without adding length to the muzzle and all these crazy things. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I think, you know, altering a breed just for this sake, when they've existed for hundreds of years, yes, they can live maybe slightly better lives if we paid more attention to open nostrils, things like that. That's where, as judges, it's important for us as well. But these breeds have existed for the longest of time without any problems. So I think we need to be more conscientious about that, and we need to pay attention to that. As for, you know, all these PR campaigns or whatever, no, I think we need to stand. You know, you started this thing by asking me about the docking and cropping, and honestly, this is where I say we should not roll over so easily and give in. We need to stand together, and we should stop having this attitude that, oh, we can't do it here, so I don't care, you should not do it there. I think as the dog world, we need to stand united and support each other. When you have a problem, it'll be my problem eventually, so I need to support you now. You know, so I think we need to have a change in attitude, and if we do, I think things can look much better.
Yeah. Andrew, I have been a few years ago on one of the best seminars that I have ever seen, done by my very good friend, and I think everybody's friend, Stefan Shinko, here in Croatia. And he said, you know, the English bulldog, or as you call it, the bulldog, you know, was for centuries a British pride, and then came pedigree dogs exposed, and the day after he was, you know, the biggest shame of the English people. How are the things now in the UK? I don't think that all these things have actually changed the number of dogs being shown at the shows and so on and so on. But you know, if a Frenchie or the English bulldog wins the group at crafts, there is a huge drama everywhere and so on. How are you dealing with that? And I mean, we need to be honest, and I'm talking not about the UK, I'm talking about all the countries in the world. We need to be honest and say that we didn't change the breeds, but that all these breeds are not exaggerated anymore, and that we have, you know, we don't have anymore this sharp pace with 300 kilos of extra skill with skin. We don't have anymore these bulldogs with closed nostrils which cannot breathe or move or anything. We have improved so much. Andrew, how do you see the future of all these breeds?
Well, I don't think the breeds are going to disappear, that's for sure. As regards the health issues, I mean, when I first started going to bulldog breed club shows in South Wales, you would get through the door and all you would hear is this sort of rasping. I mean, a lot of the dogs were borderline distressed. I think the breeders generally have done an incredible job in improving health. And let's be honest, I mean, the bulldog, the physical appearance of show bulldogs have not, it hasn't changed to alter the breed. And yet, I mean, the bulldogs that you see in the show ring today, not just in the UK, but internationally, I mean, bulldogs, or call them English bulldogs if you prefer, regularly win groups and best in show around the
Absolutely.
world, and sometimes in very, very hot climates.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is great credit to the conscientious breeders who have, you know, taken all this on board. I think one of the biggest problems that we have, and I mean, I've in the past I've written articles about this, is the fact that the governing bodies, and I deliberately make the exception of the American Kennel Club, because I think they are the only ones who've actually grasped the nettle and done it, and that is to attempt to get the message through to Joe public, that pedigree dogs have so much going for them. I mean, when I was a kid, owning a pedigree dog was almost like a status symbol and something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, we had so many sort of mongrels and crossbreeds that were like popular pets. Owning a pedigree dog, as far as the public is concerned, the pendulum now has swung to a ridiculous degree. And not just because of that dreadful program that you just mentioned, but I think the veterinary profession as well have played a part in it. You know, when I was sort of first involved in the pedigree dog world, we had sort of old school vets. And if, you know, they had a dog brought to them that had a certain problem, the first thing they would do would be telephone the established breeder of that breed in the area and ask their advice.
Yeah.
But unfortunately now, you know, you've got a generation of vets that have come out of college believing that, you know, across the board, pedigree dogs are a sort of cocktail of hereditary problems.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of a lack of understanding and basic intelligence, you will be amazed at the number of general public that think if you mate a cocker spaniel that's got PRA to a poodle that's got hip dysplasia, you're going to produce a litter of wonderfully healthy puppies, because all the problems disappear when you make they don't understand that any puppy inherits genes from both its parents.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there is so much misinformation there, particularly with, you know, these sort of designer crossbreeds. But I mean, I really do wish, you know, the kennel clubs other than the AKC and the FCI actually did something to get the message across to the general public and said, look, these breeds, they've been around for years, they have so much going for them. You know, you buy a puppy in this breed, within reason, you know exactly what you're getting, you know what size it's going to end up, you're going to know what character it's got, and actually try to promote the whole concept of owning pedigree dogs to the general public, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Anyhow, guys, we have been speaking, well, probably about 2 hours and a half with a little bit of extra of our technical problems we have resolved. But this is one of these evenings which for me could go on forever, because I could like think of 300 more questions for three of you, and I would enjoy yeah, I would enjoy listening, the conversations and your opinions, because it was really a wonderful evening. And I'm sure that everybody who has watched it has enjoyed it tremendously as much as I did. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for everybody who was watching. Next Wednesday we have free because I have a little bit busy schedule, but I will try to live stream this weekend. Two shows from Jerez, from Spain. They have this big obligatory point show there. I will live stream best in shows on Saturday and Sunday. And next weekend there are two huge shows in Poland, in Poznan. I will try to live stream also from there. And then we are coming back the Wednesday after with 3 weeks of interviews and wonderful guests. I can promise you that. Thank you everybody for watching. As usual, guys, I'm leaving the last words of the evening to three of you to say something to all the people who were watching us tonight and to many more who are going to see this roundtable in the future. Let's start with you, Gopi, because it's 6 o'clock in the morning in Malaysia.
All
I
I want to
must
say
say
is good morning.
we are all very proud of you. How did you deal with the interview tonight?
Coffee, good strong coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know, what you like mean parting words, Ante, or just, like I just hope people start to work together in the dog world and stop all the backbiting and fighting. We are never going to move forward if we keep fighting with each other. We need to find commonalities and work together. And that's how, and we have to always remember it's about the dogs. It's not about our egos. It's not about our personalities. It's not about the wins or the rosettes. It's about the dogs. And if we are genuine and sincere about that, then we need to get our act together and pull our socks up if we're going to be around.
Davor, your last words of the evening.
Yes, first, thank you very much for very interesting, almost 3 hours. It's just went like that, and as you said, it can really go on. Yeah. So a lot of interesting topics, good topics, nice topics, and I agree with Gopi very much. We have so many common things that we can share, that we have common interest, and I think we just have to stick together. We don't have to be afraid of anything. We have so much knowledge and so much experience and everything. Yeah, we just have to use it right way, and I'm at the end of the day, I'm really optimistic about everything.
Wonderful. Mr. Brace, you are going to close this evening. Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
Well, I mean, I was born an optimist. I've always been glass half full. As you well know, I do have grave concerns about the future of the sport. I think, the times ahead are not going to be easy. I can see that the face of dog shows will change quite dramatically. Maybe to such an extent that things tend to go full circle and go a little bit back to basics, when we will see dropping entries resulting in smaller events. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it could well be that you end up with smaller shows where you just get a nucleus of genuine breeders coming together to compare breeding stock. And that's and we tend to have swung away from that. The other thing I would say, just expanding on what I said just a moment ago, I think everybody who's involved in the sport, if they are owners of pedigree dogs, they should remember that that those dogs are something to be proud of, and there's an awful lot that can be done on a very, very low level with just getting the message across. Just when it comes to mixing with the public, just a normal 1 or 2 pedigree dog owner, just conversations with members of the public can be very educating and can make people aware that these dogs are not actually sort of walking disasters, that they have a lot going for them. So every pedigree dog out there can do their bit to help promote the whole pedigree dogs in context.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a nice rest of the evening. We are going to sleep. Gopi, I hope you don't have anywhere to go in the morning because then
I'm waking up.
yeah,
You'll never
then I
see
will
us
feel
all that coffee.
it was really, really wonderful, even more wonderful than what I expected. Thank you for your honest opinions. Thank you for the great time. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and see you this weekend from Spain. Bye-bye and good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.